Yo. So I woke up pretty late today and started going through my routine and sort of realized that I have a gig at 10 p.m. So I really want to make sure I don't bust my lips up before that. And us as brass players, it's super important to keep in mind, keep sort of a journal of what kind of playing we have to do outside of our practice, because the way we practice should be, at least to some extent, based on that. Because the last thing you want to do is show up to a gig and your lips are so tired from practicing. It's like it happens to all of us. I'm sure everyone who plays a brass instrument has experience with that. So it's important to keep that in mind. I just started going through my routine and I realized it's already almost 3 p.m. and it's like, I don't think I should go through this whole thing right now before the gig. It's probably not a good idea. But yeah, just some things I've been thinking about. And that doesn't mean don't practice, but maybe cut your routine in half. Maybe just do 1/3 of it. And play quiet too. It's always never a bad idea. As long as you're playing with a full sound and the air is moving consistently, playing quiet is always going to do less damage than playing loud. Always. Woo. I did a little bit of long tones. I'm gonna just kind of move on to the Clark studies, see where they take me, and then do a couple slurs, and then, because that, the lip slurs, which I showed you guys at the end of my routine, those just connect everything. Just kind of connects the full range of the instrument and allows you to, that's really the exercise that makes that feeling of being able to play low and also high without moving your embouchure too much. That's the one that does that for me in my experience. So that's one I try to hit every day regardless. So woo. Need some water, man. See, if you're a saxophone player and you're not doing your long tones, you're gonna sound like that, which isn't bad necessarily, but it's a classic MIDI saxophone sound from the Roland SC88 Pro, which is one of my favorite sound modules of all time. And for those of you who aren't familiar with old sound modules like that, pretty much every PlayStation 1 game, even Nintendo 64 game, it's compressed a little bit more, but all of those games, soundtracks, came from modules like this, the SC88 Pro, Sega Saturn, which isn't as popular of a console. But yeah, all of those CD-based old video game consoles from the 90s and early 2000s, yeah, their music came from sound modules just like this, the Roland. So it's kind of cool to hear how Crypto Volans can make just the most insane sounding modern sounds with such an outdated device. That's what's so interesting about him as an artist to me. All right. Woo. And man, just one thing we have to accept as brass players, and I can't speak for other wind instruments, but as brass players, man, our lips are gonna feel different every single day, and we might not even know why. We could probably figure it out. Maybe because last night I was playing a wedding, kind of playing a little bit loud, but it's hard. It's unpredictable, man. Your lips are gonna feel one type of way in the morning, and you're just gonna have to manage it the best you can. Practice smart. If your lips feel super tight, maybe do less long tones. If they're feeling super loose, you can't hold a straight tone for a while, maybe do some do some long tones to start off your warm-up and just kind of address those feelings as they come to you, because, you know, while having a regimented routine is a great idea, and you should have one, I have one, but you also have to listen to your lips, man, listen to your body, because this shit just feels different every day. It feels freaking different every day. It's like life. All right. We'll do these lower. You see my finger getting, man, I gotta oil this thing. I've been having some trouble with my second valve lately, man. I'm not really sure what's going on with it. I think it needs to be oiled, honestly. And I might need to clean it. Sometimes if your valves are sticking or something's weird with your instrument, you should just check. And maybe one time my valve was sticking for weeks, and I come to find there was like a hair inside of my valve. It's like a little small hair. I have no idea how it got in there, but I thought my trumpet was broken for like a couple of weeks. It is a fucking hair inside of it. So just never rule something like that out if your instrument's being weird. Just take a look under the hood and you might find something like that. Oh yeah, and another thing I wanted to say is, like, you know, especially when it comes to just practicing fundamentals, you know, to a certain extent, you're doing the same thing every day. So I'm a huge advocate and supporter of just put on a TV show, man. If that's something that can help you be consistent with your practicing, just put on one of your favorite YouTube channels or a TV show, get a silent mute or something, and just watch that shit and just go through your exercises. Just make sure you're taking proper breaths, you're sitting with good posture, and just that's a great way to just make sure you can be consistent with your practice, because, like, you know, what are you going to be doing anyway? You're probably going to be watching something or whatever, and, you know, just sit in front of the TV, watch a show, and just bombs away. It's a great way to be consistent with your practicing, really. I'm a huge advocate for that. Yeah, I got to adjust this second valve really quick. Yeah, no, sure enough, there's like visible kind of crud in my valves. I gotta clean this trumpet, man. You gotta be super thorough when you're cleaning your instrument too. Like, get a toothbrush and check all the different crevices and nooks and crannies and stuff. It's no pun intended, but it's yeah. Having your instrument be clean is super important. I know that's obvious, but man, yeah, it's easy to get complacent with that and not clean it. But it's important, especially when you play it every day. That thing's gonna get dirty after a while. Gonna move on to some slurs. I'll put the cup mute in. I want to be kind of considerate to my neighbors, but not silent brass mute considerate anymore. So moving on to cup mute considerate. lip trills like these are they hold the biggest temptation for using pressure in my experience, because going from one partial to another, there's like just a toxic urge to use a little bit of pressure, and you don't want to do that. And that's why it's so important to engage your diaphragm, which I always talk about. But it's like that is the key to not using pressure. Truly, is just like engaging your diaphragm and yeah, just being conscious of that. And even if you have to remind yourself every couple of freaking minutes, that's fine. That's how we, develop good new habits. It's just, it takes practice, especially when you're older, not that old, but 30 years old like me. It starts to get harder to learn new shit. So if you might have to go the extra mile and just tell yourself over and over and over again. And that's okay. Woo. If any of you guys grew up in the 90s or grew up in the early 2000s, this music may be reminiscent of some old computer games you used to play. This guy Crypto Volans just captures that aesthetic so well, and just this takes me back to so many of these old random computer games I used to play as a kid. There's this one Dinosaur Museum game, and I don't know, his music reminds me so much of that, which is super ironic because a lot of this dude's aesthetic online is about dinosaurs and stuff like that. Crypto Volans, I believe, is a super old extinct dinosaur from millions of years ago, maybe billions. Good stuff. And just to mildly pedal back from something I said in a previous video about keeping your diaphragm super tight, I'm kind of realizing it's not so important that you keep it tight and you're because thinking like that might make you stress and put too much tension in your body, and that's the opposite of what you want to do when you're playing trumpet. I mean, it's really more about a mind-muscle connection. So just you're doing the exercises, you just want to be conscious of the fact that that pressure and what's pushing the air out is your diaphragm. You don't necessarily have to keep it super tight and really you don't have to be aggressive about it, but you just want to be conscious of that. Mind-muscle connection is the way I like to think about it. Just be okay, my diaphragm's there. I'm thinking about it in my mind. I'm feeling it in my mind. I'm consciously aware of the fact that it's coming from there. So, might help some people. Ooh. And remember what I talked about last time, it's just looking at something super far away from you that you can kind of target your air towards. And ironically, I'm looking at this right now. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with this guy, but he knows how to utilize air in a big way. All right, Kirby. As a matter of fact, we might need to incorporate this guy into the permanent nature of the background because let's put him up here. Come on. Yeah, because there's no better video game character to think about in terms of playing trumpet than Kirby. I mean, that's a given. Alright, so yeah, I have a gig tonight, so I'm going to end my routine there. I'm going to do a little bit of practicing of jazz because as I talked about in one of my videos, if you heard it, it's like practicing improvising every day is so important if you're a jazz musician because, you know, we can do the long tones, the lip slurs, the scales all day, but, you know, the facility that we've subconsciously picked up from like transcribing and just playing jazz every day, that is very... It's its own thing. It's a unique type of way to approach the instrument, and if you want to keep your sound and keep your ability to play the way you like to play, you need to just practice improvising every single day. It's just as important. Maybe not. I would say it's equally as important as practicing your fundamentals. Is like just practicing playing, just soloing, improvising, playing tunes every single day. Yeah, it's super important, and it's busted me in the ass in the past, you know, not doing that and like being on a gig to be like, oh yeah, man, I practiced my fundamentals, my chop's gonna feel great, and I just couldn't play shit on the gig because I hadn't been addressing what I was gonna be doing on the gig, which is like, it sounds so obvious, but I think maybe some of you have been in a similar situation, so I'm gonna take a little bit of a rest and then play some jazz. All right, gonna get a little bit of improvising practice in the chamber right now. So I've got all these Aebersolds that I've collected over the years, and they're fun to practice with, but keep in mind some of them, and I say this with all due respect, the rhythm section is, it leaves a lot to be desired. So it's important to find the ones that kind of sound good and make you at least kind of excited to be playing, so you're not just kind of like going through the motions. This one, Tune Up, is a particularly swinging one. I like it. It's quite tipping. A little bit of 4. Oh, it changes keys. I didn't even realize that. All right, let's go. Ear training. I didn't even know that. Let's do this.
1, 2, 3, 4.
that messed me up. It was in C though. Oh yeah, and it's just, I don't even think it's following a set pattern, to be honest, because now it's an F. Wow, yeah, I strongly recommend this. This is a great play along for ear training. It's just like the song 4, but it keeps changing keys, and also it's tipping, and that's the most important thing. There's nothing like playing, you know. iRealB is cool, but you know, if you're willing to dig through these Jamie Aebersolds, you know, some of them have incredibly killing bands playing the backer track. Like, you'd be surprised to know, like, these are real cats playing. Like, I know Rufus Reed is on a bunch of these. Fucking, I can't really think of anyone else off the top, but like, there's some real cats on these play-alongs. Let's see what key we're going to next. I'm gonna rest my lips a little bit. But yeah, man, a great mentor of mine, a dude I went to high school with, and a guy that I think a lot of you are probably familiar with, Patrick Bartley. taught me something about playing with these play-alongs, which is, you know, it sounds obvious probably, but he would always say, you know, because a lot of people would shit on Aebersols and kind of complain about practicing with them, and it's like, you can't really be listening, and you can't be, like, they can't interact with you. It's like, and that is true, but you can listen to what they're playing, you know, because unlike the iRealB, they switch shit up on these play-alongs. They do some cool hip shit, and like, all, you know, if you go through all of these, you'll notice some shit, and you can catch on to the shit that they're playing. You know, it's a bit more of a one-way street, but, you know, still, you can still listen, you know, it's you can still practice with these things and make it more of a musical thing than playing with the iRealB, you know, so just something to kind of keep in mind. Oh, I'm gonna take a little rest. I've got a gig tonight, so I think that might be all she wrote for today, but thanks for joining me. It was quite fun. Subscribe to the channel. I think I'm supposed to say that. But yeah, until next time, y'all.